It was just another scorching afternoon in the small, dusty town of Wayland, Arizona, when Darnell wiped the sweat from his brow and leaned over the rumbling engine of a Harley-Davidson. He'd been fixing bikes since he was 16, learning from his uncle in a cramped garage that smelled of oil and dreams. Now, at 38, Darnell had the hands of a master and the patience of a saint. But none of that seemed to matter in a town where people still whispered when he walked past. He worked at Chuck's Auto and Cycle, a place where the locals brought their beat-up trucks and prized motorcycles. Darnell never complained, never showed attitude. He just worked. That day, a sound like thunder rolled into the shop. A group of bikers in black leather jackets roared in, dust swirling behind them. Their patches read, Hell's Angels, a name that made most men nervous. But Darnell just kept working. One of them, a burly man with a long grey beard and tattoos covering both arms, dismounted and kicked the stand down. His bike was sputtering, clearly needing help. He approached the front desk, but Chuck, the owner, was conveniently out to lunch. Darnell stepped forward. "Need help?" he asked. The biker looked him up and down. "You the mechanic?" Darnell nodded. "I am." The biker seemed hesitant. He glanced around, saw no one else, then sighed. "My bike's been choking for the last 200 miles. You touch her right, I'll make it worth your while." Darnell didn't flinch. He rolled the Harley into the bay and got to work. For the next 2 hours, he tuned the engine, replaced the air filter, tightened the carburetor, and adjusted the timing with a kind of reverence, like a pianist tuning an old grand piano. The biker stood by, arms crossed, watching him closely, but saying nothing. When Darnell fired the engine back up, it purred like a tiger. The biker's eyes widened. "I haven't heard her run like that since '08, he muttered. Darnell just smiled, wiped his hands on a rag, and handed the keys back. "What do I owe you?" the biker asked. "Just pay the shop," Darnell said. "Glad I could help." But Chuck wasn't so glad. When he returned and saw who Darnell had served, his face turned red. "I told you never to touch their bikes," he snapped. "Why?" Darnell asked calmly. "It was work, and I did it right." Chuck didn't listen. The next morning, Darnell came in to find his toolbox already packed. "You're done here," Chuck said coldly. "You don't fit in with our clientele." Darnell didn't argue. He took his tools and left with a silent dignity that made Chuck's cowardice look even uglier. For the next few weeks, Darnell applied to other shops, but no one would take him. Word had spread. In a small town, rumors grow faster than weeds. Bills piled up. His truck broke down. He began walking to the diner to wash dishes for a few bucks a day. Then, one evening, as Darnell walked home under a sky full of stars, a convoy of roaring engines lit up the road. 10 bikes pulled up beside him. At the front was the same biker. He'd helped. Name was Hawk. He now introduced himself. "You got screwed," Hawk said, cutting the engine. "Word got to me." Darnell nodded. "Yeah, well, nothing new." "We ride all over this country," Hawk continued. "Most places, people like you don't get a fair shot, but talent's talent, and loyalty's rare." He handed Darnell a card. "We're opening a custom shop, real work, fair pay, and we need someone who knows engines better than YouTube mechanics. You in?" Darnell blinked. "You serious?" Hawk smiled. Dead serious. The shop opened 2 months later in Tucson. It was called Iron Brotherhood Customs. Darnell was lead mechanic. Within a year, people drove from 3 states away just to get their bikes tuned by the genius with golden hands. He wasn't just fixing engines anymore. He was mentoring kids from rough neighborhoods, showing them how to turn a wrench and turn their lives around. The same people who once crossed the street when they saw him now stood in line for his signature. On custom builds, Chuck's shop, it went out of business 6 months later. No one talked about him anymore. And Darnell, one evening, after locking up, he looked out at the lot full of shining bikes, at the young apprentices sweeping up, and at the open sky. Sometimes, it takes getting fired to find your purpose. Sometimes, the road to respect is paved with grit, grace, and a broken motorcycle.